Welcome to Reigniting You, the show that explores a variety of topics and timely issues for making successful mid to late career transitions with a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment for the next phase of your career and life, regardless of your age. Now, here's your host, Lisa Downs.
Welcome to Reigniting You, where we talk all things career transition for those age 40 plus. I'm Lisa Downs, Seattle-based career and retirement transition coach. So glad to be here with you today. And our producer, Eric. Hey, Eric, Happy New Year for real this time.
Yes, good afternoon. Happy New Year.
Last week we were a little early. So.
Yes, that's true.
So yeah, happy 2021. Hooray.
And is it going all right for you so far?
So far, so good.
Good.
We'll see what the next few days bring, but so far it's all right.
Awesome.
Thankfully. Well, today is our first career transition question of the month episode for 2021. Jennifer Mastor of Mastor Recruiting and Consulting is here to help me answer it and share her career journey. And I'll introduce Jennifer right after this quick break.
Climbing the corporate ladder used to lead to success and a satisfying retirement. That ladder is now broken. You want to succeed today. Stop playing by yesterday's rules. 5 out of 6 millionaires started their own business. Now you can too. Introducing FranNet, your local franchise resource. With enough franchise options to fill CenturyLink Field, FranNet will help you find the right fit to realize your dream of being your own boss in a successful business. Be in business for yourself, not by yourself. Charlie McGee can help. Learn more at FranNet.com.
Are you feeling challenged or frustrated without a plan for what's next in your career and life? Are you seeing writings on the wall for needing to make a mid to late career change and don't know how or what to do? Coach Lisa Downs of New Aspect Coaching can guide you to what's next, providing a fresh perspective and supporting you to create a clear and compelling vision for your future and a plan to move forward. Call Lisa at 425-216-3015. That's 425-216-3015. New Aspect Coaching, fresh perspectives for your career.
Easy on the ears, good for the soul. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Reigniting You, the show that focuses on all aspects of making mid to late career transitions. Thank you to our sponsor, FranNet, your franchise experts. I'm excited to introduce my guest today, Jennifer Mastor of Mastor Recruiting and Consulting. Jennifer is a dedicated and performance-driven professional recruiter and career consultant. She's known for her valued and stellar interpersonal communication skills. She calls it as she sees it. Her relationship building and her ability to recruit and manage resourceful, top-performing candidates. As a career consultant, she'll push you to your limits, help you find your confidence once again, and make sure you know who you really are. You won't be scared to interview anymore. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome to the show. So happy that you're here.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Excited to chat with you today. And I always like to start with guests. Always love to hear about your career journey. So what's been your career path that's led you to your current business and your career consulting work?
I actually had a really fun journey, the one that I'm thankful for. My first career was in hospitality. Disneyland Hotel was my first reservations job while I was still in college. And then my last hotel job was at the Bellevue Hyatt.
Oh.
And I had a few in between, but I loved them all. In 1992, I read an ad in the Sunday newspaper when we still advertised in the Sunday newspaper. Had a 3-hour interview and got hired on the spot as a full desk recruiter. And a full desk recruiter in those days was actually recruiting and sales all at the same time. It was 100% commission. And 11 years later with that company, a few awards under my belt, I left that position for ethical reasons regarding an individual. Vowed I would never recruit again.
We know how that goes.
Yes, we've all been there. We all have been there. But my mentor found me, asked me for help regarding a new company. And 29 years later, I'm in the industry and I can't even imagine doing anything else anymore.
Wow. I imagine you've seen an awful lot of changes too in that time, just everything from processes and systems to how recruiting happens.
To what a resume should look like every
Yeah.
other year. Yes.
Yeah. Pretty much. So what's been a lesson or two that you've learned along the way throughout your changes and career transitions and these last decades really having your own business?
Well, I think one of the best lessons I actually learned was within that first job as a recruiter. I was really struggling speaking with CEOs and C-suite people, and I was intimidated by them.
Mm.
And I can actually still hear Ron, who was the owner of the company, and share these words with me. And it was, never put anybody on a pedestal.
Mhm.
Don't treat them any differently than anyone else. Don't be intimidated by them. Respect them, but that's it. And I still share those words to everybody that I work with and speak with. And those words actually allowed me to find my voice and allow me to be me.
Yeah.
And to this day, it was still priceless. And I still go through that in my head every once in a while.
That's great. And what a great piece of advice and something that's so applicable, I think, to everybody. And so often, as you said, we can get down on ourselves. We can be so hard on ourselves and kind of fall into this trap of imposter syndrome sometime,
Mhm.
thinking that we're not good enough and our own self-talk can be so negative. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thanks for raising that. I think that's such an important point for folks. And what else was particularly helpful to you through times of change in your career and your life? Whether that was specific actions you took, decisions, people who supported you?
Um, in all honesty, Lisa, I really have trouble with that question because I have no clue. I really don't. I just kind of did it at the time when I was trying to quote unquote find myself. I was just divorced. I had two small kids that I was
Mm,
raising and taking care of. So I was a single working mom. And I just think kind of their love was enough of a driving factor for me.
mhm.
Of course, there's a lot more to that and what happened, but unfortunately, I didn't know what else to do except to survive.
Yeah.
And the resources were not as prevalent as they really are in today's world. I mean, I had the family support and I still do, yay. But my skills and my ability to learn about myself and accept who I am is what really got me through the times of change.
Mhm.
And I think the word change I use constantly as a really positive 6-letter word. And it's something that I have learned to embrace and not to run away from. So I use that as a focal point for
Mhm.
myself and for everybody else, is that change will happen and accept it. Don't fight it.
Yeah, that's cool. And thinking about that and your embracing of change just by way of follow-up. So, um how did you do that? So, how did you look at change from a perspective that really allowed you to embrace it fully and to have this mindset that, it's nothing to fear. We go through change all the time.
I think because of my family and my personal situation
Mhm.
and my background in sports and a professional athlete really got me through to perseverance to continue to move forward
Mm,
and not to take no for an answer and to trust myself.
yeah, right. Yeah, I think at some point you really have to trust that you can trust that things will work out how they need to work out. I'm a firm believer of that,
Mhm.
and have that trust in yourself to be able to move forward. And that's really cool about you being a professional athlete. So tell me a little bit more about that experience and what that was all about.
Feel like I'm aging myself.
Nah, you're among friends.
Thanks, Lisa.
We're
Thanks. I am.
all old.
I am. I am. I spent 3 years professionally playing tennis.
Wow.
So my tennis got me through high school. It got me through my college. It got me a scholarship for college, and it was my escape. It
Mm,
was my saving grace. I was on the court minimum 5 to 6 hours a day while I was going through
wow.
school, and it teaches you a lot,
Yeah.
and it teaches you how to constantly move.
Yeah, I imagine. And who were some, when you think about that experience, And playing tennis professionally, who were some coaches that were important to you at that time?
First, my high school,
Mhm.
Trahan. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. Woo, I did that. Wow.
That's
Mr.
awesome.
Trahan was my high school coach. Todd Rice was my junior college coach,
Mm,
and he was completely opposite of Trahan. Trahan was old school. No offense to Trahan, who was kind of old at the time.
mhm.
And then Tom Boyce, not Bice. Tom Boyce was very young at heart and taught me how to stay young at heart and allowed me to stay aggressive. I learned how to play tennis by playing with men.
Cool.
So I guess I can give my dad some effort on that because he's the one who taught me how to play tennis and playing with men.
Yeah, there you go. And
Yeah.
what was that transition like for you when you stopped playing tennis regularly?
Oh, heartbreak,
Mm.
depression, not knowing what to do with my time, almost getting kicked out of Cal State Fullerton because I had too much time on my hands.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of getting kicked out, I became the junior varsity tennis coach for the men.
Oh, great. Excellent.
If you
Very
don't kick me
cool.
out, I can do this
There
for
you
you.
go. Way to turn that on its head.
Exactly. So always turning things around, always kind of
Yeah.
pushing forward. Yeah.
That's great. That's excellent. And many great lessons within that story as well. So yeah, that's great. And thanks so much for sharing that and about your career path too, and just that bit about your background and always fascinating to learn about folks and their stories. And all of us have such rich history with our stories that people can identify with and learn from. So really appreciate that. And it's already time for our next break. When we come back, Jennifer and I will field our career transition question of the month for January.
Okay, kind of like putting me on this.
Hi, I'm Lisa Downs, career and retirement transition coach and host of Reigniting You on KKNW. I guide age 40 plus professionals to gain clarity, a renewed sense of purpose, and a career transition plan within 90 days so you can lead a fulfilling life regardless of your age. No longer does change have to mean riding off into the proverbial sunset. Let's talk about what your next phase of life can look like. Visit yournewaspect.com or call me at 425 216 3015. That's 425 216 3015. New Aspect Coaching, fresh perspectives for your career.
I'm Nathan Mumm, and I'm the host of Tech Time Radio. Tech Time Radio is officially on KKNW from Saturdays from 4 to 5 p.m. You can listen to our show live. We are excited to also then rebroadcast our episodes on Thursday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. The hosts cover top tech stories with a funny spin.
That's good. So, Hooked on Phonics worked for you, didn't it?
It did, just a little bit. Grab your weekly technology without having to geek out.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We talk technology for the everyday common person.
What's your story? Have you ever sat with that question and looked to your heart for the answer? It's time to explore the real you. Tune in Thursdays from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. for the brand new show, Story You, with Coach Debbie. Debbie and her guests have a mission to inspire and coach you to find your voice. If you need direction, Story You with Coach Debbie is for you. If you want to be an author, Story You with Coach Debbie is for you. Tune in Thursdays at 4 p.m. and be inspired. Have a career transition related question or want to share your best or worst job story? Call 360-436-6496. That's 360-436-6496. Just leave a voicemail and we'll answer your question or share your story on a future show. Stay tuned for more Reigniting You with Lisa Downs.
Find our app in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store and take us with you wherever you go. Alternative Talk AM 1150.
Welcome back to Reigniting You, the show that discusses timely issues and topics about career transitions for Gen Xers and Boomers. I'm your host, Lisa Downs. We're here with Jennifer Mastor of Mastor Recruiting and Consulting. So, Jennifer, let's go ahead and dive back in. So, our career transition question of the month is, how do I identify my marketable skills when I'm looking to switch industries or roles, or if I'm having trouble landing my next job? What are your thoughts on this?
I have a lot of thoughts on that one, Lisa.
I bet you do.
I'm on a time crunch here, though.
Yes.
But skills are skills. And what you have will and should be used regardless of the job that you have. Now, I know it sounds a bit vague, but think about this. Once you have a skill, you usually don't lose it, especially in the working world. Now, if we're talking about a specific industry skill, and maybe if you're moving transferable skills and moving industries, it's kind of hard to get across to them what you did. But think about it. If you got into the real estate industry, didn't know anything about real estate, and you learned everything and you are successful, try and bring that up on an interview. I might not have known anything on real estate, but look how successful I became. And look how much I learned and I retained those skills.
Yeah.
And don't you think I can do it again? And in reality, I mean, marketable skills, there are about 10 really true marketable skills. And I actually want to share them with your audience because one or two of them people are going to resonate or know that they're comfortable doing or they have that they can emphasize. So in no particular order, but my favorite 10 marketable skills are passion, continued learning, communication, adaptability, work ethic, problem solving, willpower, networking, ambition, and mostly attitude.
Yeah, that's a great list.
I think it's a really strong list. And
Excellent.
when you have them, it's actually how you use them, how you share with them in the message across on the value that you can bring into any new organization and any new role.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is just hearkening back to, as you said, the example of someone who worked in real estate but didn't, know anything about it to start, and then gained all this experience and broadened those horizons and are able to tell that story. To me, so much of it is hearkening back to those examples, right, of the work you did and what were those skills that were involved with that. Beyond, sometimes we often think of just technical ability or technical skills, but it's like, no, it's, way more than that. If you were able to accomplish something, chances are there was a lot of communication skills being used there and adaptability and a good attitude, et cetera, that you can really hearken to that we may not automatically think of sometimes. So,
Right. And you have to remember, most people get hired on soft skills, not technical skills.
yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And how can someone gain confidence in the value they bring to an organization when, they might be feeling down on themselves or they've been getting turned down for opportunities?
My specialty, Lisa. I think, in my opinion, every single person has confidence. It's just at times they can't find it,
Yeah.
or they don't know how to let it out at times or at the right time. So when I'm consulting with individuals, even with companies, but mostly individuals, I ask them a couple of really strong questions. And my favorite is, give me 3 adjectives that describe who you are. Rule of my game is, number 1, they cannot be boring, and I have veto power. And number 2, these are the adjectives that your mom would slap your hand on if she actually heard you say about these things. So I'm really looking for deep down, really positive things that you really like about yourself. Okay, so your value, mind, experience, education, and more is all you have.
Yeah.
So how can someone know how good you really are if you don't tell them how good you are? So let me give you an example. I'm going to put you on the spot, Lisa.
Okay.
Give me 1 adjective about yourself that you're really proud of that you normally would not say on an interview. 1 word that you can describe that describes you, but that's not boring. And I have veto power.
I would say, well, I always like to think of myself as positively persistent.
Okay.
So, and by that I mean that I don't give up. If I, have something I need to accomplish, I will figure out a way to do it in a way that I go after people if I need information from them or something, support from them, and do it in a way that is um, gracious and at the same time gets across clearly that the
But you
time
hope.
is nigh for
Right.
what is needed to be able to move forward. So I've always prided myself on that. And that's something that I may not brag about a lot. But it's the way that I've been able to work with folks is just to stay on it, be persistent, and kind of have that sixth sense of knowing when to push again and when to reach out again and when to pull back.
Exactly. Can you imagine if you actually put that on a resume and that's just one word of being positively persistent? Now, all of a sudden, you're going to have somebody question you about that and allow you to
Yeah.
explain what you just meant and what you just said.
Yeah, to be able to ask that question. Well, like,
Hmm.
oh, that's interesting. What does that mean? Or tell me more about that.
And that's
Uh,
what you're looking for.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think once you get that idea and you put that on a resume, but mostly when you start thinking about it and you start opening yourself about it and you start sharing that information with hiring managers, because remember, hiring managers can't read minds,
Yep.
thankfully.
Yep.
So we need to rely on you. Who are you? What do you bring? Why is this role so important to you?
Yeah.
And when you
Very
start talking
cool.
about those adjectives, all of a sudden you start feeling really more confident about who you are and what you bring to the table.
Yeah. And then the examples and stories can flow from that.
And they will.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when I consult with people, they definitely come out. My adjective, I have about 6 of them. And my 3, this is who I am, is my favorite 3 are direct, honest, and real.
Cool. Yeah. I'll say my other two are resourceful and and an expert listener. So
Okay.
those are my other two.
I
I
like
have,
listening.
yeah, listening. I have cheater words in there like expert and polite.
Yeah. You'll never hear the word expert come out of my mouth.
Ah,
Yes.
yeah, cool. So, next question that I have for you
Mhm.
is what do you recommend to help people decide whether to leave their current situation to take another job or to pursue a different career path?
Well, that's probably about a 30 to an hour conversation because recommendations are personal, first of
Yep.
all. And mostly it all depends on the situation, on the different components and everything that they're doing. But to answer your question easily and to think about that, I call it the mirror check. If you literally look at yourself in the mirror, dwell, cringe at the thought of going into work or Zooming again, or just representing your company, regardless of what you do, you leave.
Hmm.
Now, the real question is when?
Yeah.
Because regardless of our pandemic, on average, it takes 2 to 4 months to find another position. So if you leave, you have to make sure, number one, you can afford it
Yeah.
and give yourself that time. But if not, and you're still working you through while you're actually trying to find a position, give yourself enough time and emphasize on giving yourself that time because finding a new job is a full-time job.
Yeah. For sure. That makes sense. Yeah. And what do you think for someone who is leaving? What's a good way to leave a job in a positive way that guards against potentially burning any bridges on their way out the door?
Keep it simple,
Hmm.
keep it short, keep it positive. Literally, you tell them what you gained from working there, that you appreciated what you got from there, and what you valued from the job that you did.
Hmm.
And that the other job is a new adventure and one that you want to have.
Yeah.
You thank them, you write this all out, and then you read it out loud to make sure it makes sense
Yeah. Great. And I
to
know,
you. You date
yeah.
it, you hand it in. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were saying something. Do you hand it in? There you go.
There you go. Yeah. Because I think sometimes we can maybe freak ourselves out a little bit, thinking that it's something to feel guilty about, that
Mm-mm,
we owe something when we really don't at all.
you don't. You
So,
don't. You keep
yeah.
it simple. You smile when you're saying it. And if you say this is a new adventure, they're going to appreciate it. But if they could hear what you gained out of working for them, it makes them feel really good that they're doing their job to move you along.
Hmm. Yeah, excellent. And to me, those are all of what you mentioned and that process are really communication skills too, right? So, how you get that message across, how you frame it, and the importance of also thanking them for that time and being able to work with those folks. And all of that is communication skills too. So, always
Right.
valuable.
And you don't get hung up on anything else, and that way you can keep it positive.
Yeah, great. And as you said, to the point, clear and to the point. Excellent. And so, Jennifer, how can people find you if they want to learn more or contact you?
Several ways. And I think the biggest thing, as long as you spell my last name the correct way of Mastor, you'll find me on LinkedIn. My email is jennifer@masterrecruiting.com. My website, which is brand new, so I'll take a look at it. I'm very excited about it,
It looks
is
great.
masterrecruiting.com. Yeah.
Love it.
So I am
Excellent.
all over the place. If you just Google Master, you're going to find me.
Yeah, Master with an O, Tor.
Master
Got
with
it.
an O.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for being here, Jennifer, and sharing your advice, recommendations, your story. I really do appreciate it. And it's time now
Well,
to,
thank you.
oh,
Great way to
yeah.
start off the new year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and a happy new year too, as well. So now that we're a few days in, it feels really good to be in 2021, I must say. So excellent.
Mhm.
Appreciate it. And it's time to wrap up today's show already. And that means it's also time for my reignition recommendation, your weekly career transition tip. This week, I encourage you to identify one highest priority career related action that, if you take it or do it consistently, will make the biggest difference. So rather than some generic New Year's resolution, what can be your one thing that draws your focus and effort that can help you move forward? Thanks, Eric, for your support today, again, as always. And what was most interesting to you from our time with Jennifer today?
Well, just, another great story. I love she used to be a professional tennis
Yeah,
player,
that
and,
awesome?
like,
Yeah,
even pro athletes have to have a career transition at some point.
they
So,
do.
this
Yeah, at
relates to
some point.
everybody.
Everybody. Yeah, absolutely. So, regardless of your background, your history, yeah, all of us make these different career transitions, and that was so fun to hear too, and hear that piece as well. Well, join us next Wednesday at 3 o'clock when it's our time for our Ask Lisa episode, when I'll answer listeners' career transition questions. As a reminder, you can submit your question by email at reignitingyou@gmail.com or leave a voicemail at 360-436-6496 to share it over audio. That's 360-436-6496. A special guest will be dropping by for a few minutes as well next week. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week on Reigniting You.